欢迎收看今天的汉天新闻，我是赵子彤。首先来看国际方面的消息。玻利维亚10月20日举行总统和议会选举以来，国内局势陷入动荡，影响与多国外交关系。古巴外交部方面表示，受玻利维亚反派压力，将终止其在玻利维亚的医疗任务。截至目前，已有超过700名古巴医学专家撤离玻利维亚。玻利维亚反对派指责古巴医生煽动民众支持已宣布辞去玻利维亚总统职务的莫拉莱斯，并对古巴医生实施暴力。反对派一度逮捕并拘禁了医疗团队中的一些人员。
As violent street protests over allegations of a stolen election in Bolivia forced President Evo Morales to resign and flee into exile, the aftershocks have been felt as far away as Cuba. Morales was one of Latin America's longest-serving leftist heads of state and a stalwart ally to the Cuban government. Immediately after Morales' fall, the Bolivian government detained 6 Cubans working on a Cuban government medical mission in that country, accusing them of participating in the unrest. Eventually, they were released and sent back to Cuba with over 700 other Cuban doctors and medical staff who'd been working there. These last few days have been tough, very stressful for the whole medical brigade, this Cuban doctor told us. We've been accused of things we are not guilty of. We only went to Bolivia to provide health care and better care to the Bolivian patients. The shift in power in Bolivia is not just the loss of an ally for Cuba, but the loss of a key source of revenue. Cuba earns millions of dollars by sending government-trained doctors to work abroad. Medical services have become the communist-run island's #1 export. The Trump administration claims those medical professionals are the victims of exploitation. And in some cases, they've alleged without evidence that some are even spies.
The Bolivian government announced Friday the expulsion of hundreds of Cuban officials for their country. It was the right thing to do. Cuba wasn't sending doctors and officials to Bolivia to help the Bolivian people, but rather to prop up a pro-Cuba regime headed by Evo Morales, who sought to maintain his grip on power through electoral fraud. Bolivia now joins Brazil and Ecuador in recognizing the Cuban threat to freedom. In each case, these governments, free of outside interference, have acted to protect their own national sovereignty and to defend their own citizens' interests.
In the past year, new governments in Brazil and Ecuador also sent Cuban doctors home, slashing revenue for the Cuban government just as U.S. sanctions impact the island's economy as never before. Cuba trades its doctors for oil from Venezuela, but U.S. sanctions on the ships that bring that oil have led to some of the worst lines for fuel that Cubans have seen in years. Now Cuban officials say they are facing an energy crisis. The Cuban government hopes leftist governments in Mexico and Argentina will invite Cuban doctors there. These Cuban doctors returning from Bolivia said they are leaving behind communities that needed them. They realized that when we left, they were going to be helpless, he says, without any medical attention or much less care. Much of the consultations were done by the Cuban Medical Brigade. Previous U.S. administrations praised Cuba's medical diplomacy. Now Washington sees these returning Cuban doctors as a victory. Patrick Ottman, CNN Havana.
过去2年中，金正恩的核武器计划使得美国总统川普与金正恩展开了前所未有的多次外交接触。两国领导人在新加坡、越南和分隔朝韩两国的非军事区都举行了会晤，但会晤并未让两国达成一致协议。近来，金正恩再次不断对美国进行施压，挑起紧张局势。11月27日报道，金正恩领导的国家事务委员会的一名发言人表示，朝鲜愿意与美国重启谈判，但美国需拿出让朝鲜感到满意的解决方案。但多方表示怀疑金正恩的诚意和实际目的。
From North Korea's young supreme commander, a menacing show of force. Kim Jong-un, in a white trench coat, supervises the test firing of short-range artillery from an island near his country's disputed maritime border with South Korea. It draws a protest from Seoul for violating an agreement between the two countries' militaries. Experts believe this is more than muscle flexing from the dictator. It could well be a reflection of the growing pressure they say he's under to stand up to the U.S.
Because of his failure to get concessions and sanctions relief, he is under extreme internal pressure, and so he must demonstrate his military strength and resolve to his own military and to his own elite.
North Korea's state-run news agency says the military unit which conducted this drill was, quote, boiling with glory, joy, and ecstasy from receiving the great historic leader. A volleyball exhibition was staged. An all-female military band performed. And in one of several class photos, Kim is in the middle of dozens of female soldiers, many of whom are openly crying.
We've seen many pictures like this, and women crying, even men crying. And we should remember that Koreans only get ahead in the North by demonstrating personal loyalty to Kim Jong-un. These tears, whether they are real or fake, are an attempt to demonstrate that personal loyalty.
He's almost this mythical, untouchable kind of godlike leader. And so that's why you want to see this kind of hysteria around him when people have the opportunity to see him and meet him.
Analysts say the bizarre photo ops and the artillery drill are part of a pattern of recent, smaller-scale provocations from North Korea, which includes several short-range missile tests and hostile and threatening statements directed at the U.S., all reflecting a much larger frustration felt by Kim Jong-un. Kim's regime has given President Trump and his team until the end of this year to make more progress on a nuclear weapons deal. Experts say if that doesn't happen, North Korea could go back to testing nuclear warheads and long-range missiles.
If this all goes south in a couple of months and we blow past this self-imposed deadline the North Koreans have offered, we have to assume that we're facing a far more capable, more angry, and dangerous North Korea than we were looking at 2 years ago.
当地时间11月6日，英国首相约翰逊正式宣布，将于12月12日举行大选。位于北爱尔兰的贝尔法斯特，历史上与英格兰的关系就极为复杂，受到英国大选的影响，当地的政治局面也陷入了一片混乱之中。民众的支持率如何，哪一位候选人将脱颖而出，都将对北爱尔兰未来的政治走向起到关键性的影响。
North Belfast. A cold, crisp night. The election is nearing. Of 18 Northern Irish seats,
we're just here. Rosie, is it?
As many as 8 could change hands. This is one of them.
Hello, how are you? Good evening. John Finucane, just round from Sinn Féin in advance.
John Finucane, a lawyer with pro-Remain, mostly Catholic Irish nationalist Sinn Féin.
The election?
Yes, 100%, John, you have my vote.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
The issues with Brexit is really key.
What is it you want to happen?
Well, to be honest, I voted to remain in the EU, you know, so my key thing would be like Brexit so that there's no hard borders in Ireland.
In this constituency, most other pro-Remain candidates withdrew to let Finucane, who is also Lord Mayor of Belfast, get their vote, even though his party refused to take their seats in Westminster.
The people of North Belfast are very similar to the people of the North here in general. They voted to remain whenever the Brexit referendum came around in 2016. I think this election on December the 12th gives them another opportunity to send a very powerful message.
He is up against pro-Leave, mostly Protestant Democratic Unionist Party incumbent, Nigel Dodds. Just a few weeks ago, Dodds' party were kingmakers in London. Now they're under fire from all directions. Unprecedented political alliances are forming, and the future of Northern Ireland is at stake. Dodds' message, vote DUP, change Johnson's Brexit deal, strengthen Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom. Dodd's social media feed shows him campaigning, but he didn't let us along or give us an interview. Neither did any other DUP candidate. Jim Wells, a local veteran DUP politician who is not running in the election, did agree to talk.
It's on a knife edge, North Belfast. In fact, there could be a few hundred votes either way. We need to maximise the unionist turnout to defeat Sinn Féin.
Betrayal of the union is a live issue in these elections, and that may cost the DUP votes. to moderate unionists.
But I want to stop Boris Johnson's withdrawal deal, and the only way we can do that is by remaining within the EU.
Even so, neither Aiken nor anyone else in his party will stand against Dodds in North Belfast. Such are the unprecedented tactics of this election. Aiken's decision could actually benefit historic foe Sinn Féin, because Aiken's party's message is pro-Remain. Yet, for all the change, the election is reviving old sectarian grievances. In this divided constituency, that resonates. Will you be voting?
Yes, most 100%.
And do you know who you'll be voting for yet?
Yeah, Nigel Dodds, yeah.
And why will you vote for him?
He's the only one I think we'll have to stand up for us this minute in time.
Getting out the vote this election, doubly difficult. Cold weather and Christmas could crimp turnout.
I won't be voting for the DUP or Sinn Féin because, you know, they're just so old-fashioned and they need to get out because they're not doing anything.
New tactics are opening new possibilities that could see more pro-Remain MPs in Westminster. Moderate nationalists, the SDLP, could win a couple of seats.
Look, the issue is Brexit, and the issue is the fact that Northern Ireland and certainly my constituency voted very firmly to remain, and that voice hasn't properly been represented in Westminster.
Hannah is taking on the DUP in South Belfast. Sinn Féin is helping her by stepping aside. Unlike them, she is not an abstentionist and would take her place in Parliament.
Look, I think abstentionism is nuts, and as I say, it over-empowers the DUP.
By Christmas, everyone here will know who their new 18 MPs are. Few, though, would dare predict what happens after that. Nick Robertson, CNN, Belfast, Northern Ireland.
医学方面的人员日前经过一项调查发现，几乎所有的美国婴幼儿都存在每日摄入糖分过多的问题。相关专家表示，一个婴儿一天摄入1茶匙的添加糖分已经足够，而幼儿的摄入量也不能超过6茶匙。而现在，大部分家长给他们准备的食物中含有过量的添加糖分，容易导致这些孩子长大之后健康发生问题，产生肥胖、哮喘等疾病。
You might want to rethink some of the things you reach for when it comes to feeding your kids. According to a new analysis of national data, 98% of toddlers and 2/3 of infants consume added sugar in their daily diets, which, as far as the American Heart Association is concerned, is 98% too many. It recommends children under the age of 2 stay away from all added sugars, including sweeteners that don't occur naturally in food. According to the analysis, on average, infants consumed 1 teaspoon of added sugar per day, while toddlers consumed about 6 teaspoons per day. For infants, that often comes from yogurt and baby snacks or sweets. Toddlers got much of their extra sugar from fruit drinks and bakery sweets. The National Institute of Health says children who consume added sugar can see some negative health conditions like cavities, asthma, and obesity. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
休息一下，马上回来。